London Uncovered. As we are strolling onto a new episode, and today we are talking about the hidden horrors of hypocrisy. Yes, hypocrisy and deception are the moral vices which human societies have suffered from throughout history. In its basic form, hypocrisy is when words differ from actions. If we look around, hypocrisy abounds. Faces are hiding in their masks, actions are awash in contradictions, and words are going against intentions. It's hard to find anyone who's true to self, but different people loaded up with different options. Many hypocrites hide their past by claiming to be who they aren't. Some exaggerate things, take the credit they don't deserve. Others look for scapegoats to blame for problems of their own creation. Hypocrites have a split personality. They love to live inside one identity, but live to love another. Truth is either muzzled by falsehood, or falsehood is masked in truth. The hypocrites can be categorized as liars, fraudsters, connivers, manipulators, and evaders. Experts on this subject give some key suggestions on handling hypocrites. First of all, listen to what they have to say. Then determine yourself the intent behind the words. Then try to consider whether or not to have a valid point. Next, set a firm boundary, and after that reduce contact, and finally ignore the advice. So what can we do to stop being a hypocrite? We should examine our own moral compass. Avoid criticizing other people. Not to make false promises, but take action. Embrace humility. And above all, regularly practice integrity and forgive our own shortcomings. And Charles C. Finn, the American psychiatrist, puts it very beautifully. And when he says in his poem, "Please hear what I'm not saying." And he says, "Don't be fooled by me. Don't be fooled by the face I wear. I wear a mask. I wear 1,000 masks. Masks that I'm afraid to take off, and none of them are me. Pretending is an art that is second nature to me, so don't be fooled. Please, for God's sake, don't be fooled. I give the impression that I'm secure, that all is sunny and unruffled with me, within as well as without. That confidence is my name, coolness is my game, that the water is calm, I'm in command, that I need no one. But don't be fooled. Please, for God's sake, don't be fooled. My surface may be smooth, but my surface is my mask, my ever-varying, ever-concealing mask. Beneath lies no complaisance, beneath lies fear, anger, and confusion. But I hide it. I don't want anybody to know. That's why I frantically create a mask to hide behind, a nonchalant, sophisticated facade to shield me from the one who knows." And then he goes on to say, "Who am I, you may wonder? I'm every man you meet. I'm every woman you meet. I'm right in front of you." And let's see, who do we have next? And he's none other than Peter. Good morning, Peter.
Hi Sanjay, hello everyone.
Tell us, what does hypocrisy mean to you?
Hypocrisy. Hypocrisy literally means wearing a mask. That's where the word comes from. And to me, it means the kinds of people who say one thing and do another. Unfortunately, those kinds of people are sometimes me. Because I think we all have public personas and we have private personas. So hypocrisy is a kind of constant challenge to make sure the private and the public work together, and you are the same person when you're on stage as when you're off stage.
So what can one do about it?
I think the trickiest thing is to work out where your pressure is coming from. I think what makes us hypocrites is when we feel that we've got to save face in front of someone because we feel shame about something, or we feel that they're threatening us, or we feel that we're not good enough. If we can tackle those things, particularly to do with shame and saving face, then that will stop us being hypocrites.
Peter, what message would you give to the world?
I think I would say you have to make what's on the outside and what's on the inside match up. And the only way to do that is to get all parts of yourself working honestly and openly together. And because I'm a priest, that's what prayer does. That's what prayer is for. It's not a shopping list of requirements. It's a way of uniting the inner and the outer. What you want, what you really want, where you are in the world, what God wants. It's a process of integration. And that's the way to stop hypocrisy.
Peter, that was touching. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
And let's see what Jamie has to say about it. Good morning, Jamie.
Good morning, Sanjay.
Tell us, what does hypocrisy mean to you?
Hypocrisy. I think it's a lack of integrity. It's where the outside doesn't match the inside. The outside person that's being presented, there's a dissociation with the way that person's actually living their life. I was just preaching on the parable of the Good Samaritan. Amazing story that Jesus tells a religious lawyer who's asking him, who's my neighbor? And Jesus tells this story, and Jesus actually had quite a lot to say to the religious leaders at the time because of really hypocrisy, that they were standing up and saying this, that and the other about God and the way the world works, and yet they weren't actually living it out. They weren't living out the grace and the blessing and the love of God. Hypocrisy means living out life in a way that shows that God is love and that you're the same on the inside as the outside. And religion often doesn't do that.
So what can one do about it?
I think read the words of Jesus for me and be challenged by them and accept that just talking about God isn't the same as living a life full of his love.
What message would you give to the world, Jamie?
Follow Jesus, the most integrated and real person that's ever lived.
Jamie, as always, that was amazing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see, who do we have next? And it's none other than David. Good morning, David.
Good morning, Sanjay.
Tell us, what does hypocrisy mean to you?
I don't think anybody should say anything in public about hypocrisy, but I'm going to. That's hypocrisy for you. Hypocrisy's saying something or doing something or behaving in a way that you expressly believe others shouldn't do. It's like reserving a special rule for yourself or feeling free to criticize the way others behave and then behave in the same way yourself. So we see everybody do it. Ordinary people, people in public life. People say everybody should pay their fair share of taxes and then avoiding paying tax where they can. Actually, avoidance is legal. Evasion is the one that's illegal. So yeah, any of those things can be in the way you conduct yourself, the things you make pronouncements about. It's about being true, really.
So what can one do about it?
Well, just act with integrity, have integrity, and be clear about what you say, be clear about what you believe, and don't rush to judge others, because you can easily fall into the trap of being a hypocrite.
What message would you give to the world, David?
Be true to yourself. Honor your beliefs, whatever they are.
David, it's been a pleasure once again.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome, Sanjay. Have a good day.
And let's see what Nigel has to say about it. Good morning, Nigel.
Good morning, Sanjay.
Tell us, what does hypocrisy mean to you?
Hypocrisy seems to be endemic at the moment, particularly with people in power. They sort of like preach one thing and make out there like they pontificate at people and say, "Look at me, I'm wearing a mask," or "I'm doing this, I'm doing that," and then the next moment they're doing something else, but they're still preaching to us. So there is a lot of hypocrisy around at the moment, and it seems to be getting worse and worse. And it needs to be challenged, really.
So what can one do about it?
About hypocrisy, when people start preaching to you, then sometimes it's a good thing to do what they're saying, but a lot of people don't practice what they preach, and they should be called out by people. Like in the comments columns of newspapers and on the internet. You should take the opportunity to criticise these people.
What message would you give to the world, Nigel?
I'd say that no matter what happens, you're always going to get people that are hypocritical and will preach one thing and do another. I think the best thing to do is to call them out about their behaviour, but largely to ignore them.
Nigel, that was brilliant.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And let's see what Tom has to say about it. Good morning, Tom.
Good morning, Sanjay.
Tell us, what does hypocrisy mean to you?
Yeah, hypocrisy is something that we all are guilty of, I think. We all say one thing and then do the exact opposite. But I think we tend to forget as well what we say, because human nature is that your memory can only hold and store so much information. So I think sometimes you're a hypocrite without even realise that you're doing it. But sometimes we do it deliberately as well. So I don't think it's something that you should worry about so much, but it's something that people observe you doing and they take notes that maybe you're not as genuine as maybe you think that you are. So that's kind of like my observation.
So what one can do about it?
Like I say, I think sometimes you don't realise that you've been a hypocrite, and I think that's fairly harmless. But when you do it intentionally, then I think that, and you maybe you hold yourself up as being a moral and upright person, that's where you fall down, because everybody's human, everybody makes mistakes. But when you're in a public spotlight and you're being a hypocrite, people will, and because people are more opinionated these days on social media and other platforms, they'll point it out to you, and you can't really say that, you can't really, you can't profess ignorance, because it's there in public. So, so be careful what you say, and more importantly, be careful about what you do. Your actions speak louder than words as well.
What message would you give to the whole world?
So hypocrisy, like for me, like I say, it's just something that we all do. There's no right and no wrong to it. It's just something that you have to manage, really. I mean, I've probably been a hypocrite today without realising it, but I'm not going to lose any sleep about it. But just having awareness of it, and I think don't be too harsh and too hard on people who are hypocrites, because it's just one of those things that we do as a human race.
Tom, as always, you're amazing. Thank you.
No problem, Sanjay.
As we come to the end of this episode, and we have been talking about the hidden horrors of hypocrisy. And here are some warning signs that should tell you that you have likely encountered a pathological hypocrite or a sociopath. The first thing they'll do is do as I say, not do as I do. This will define the hypocrites because their action never seem to match up with their charming words. Their rules apply only to others, but they do not apply to them, as they believe they are above the law, both legally and ethically. It is always someone else's fault. It's not their fault for lying. Anyone who points out their wrongdoings should be punished. They play the perpetual victim. Their bad behavior always has sob story roots. They will be condescending, patronizing, and superior, treating you as if you are intellectually deficient and emotionally unstable. And the next, hypocrites have all the lies and excuses. They really have excuses for everything. Exactly where the hypocrites go wrong, they are shameless and immodest in their presentation of themselves. And hypocrisy does a reverse spin on them. Instead of covering up, they stand naked.